The galaxy was never truly quiet. Even in the farthest arms, ships crossed the stars carrying explorers, merchants, and soldiers between scattered worlds. But beyond the Perseus Rim, there was a zone the great empires rarely entered. It was cold space marked only by drifting dust and a few dim suns. Old charts called it Sector 7-9, though most navigators simply named it the Empty Reach. On an otherwise calm rotation, listening posts belonging to 3 different empires caught the same strange reading. A single object had slid out from the dark between stars, moving with steady purpose. At first it looked like an asteroid, its profile uneven, its surface dark. But it was too fast, too smooth in its course, and it gave off a faint pulse every few seconds, a heartbeat of energy no natural rock could make. In the monitoring tower of the Valoran Ascendancy, a young technician stared at his display. His crest feathers trembled as he watched the signal grow clearer. "Supervisor, I think you should see this," he said. The elder Valoran, tall and cloaked in silver robes, stepped closer. Together they watched the shape on the screen sharpen as algorithms filled in details. The object was large, immense in fact, more than 2 kilometers long, with lines suggesting a hull rather than stone. The supervisor narrowed his eyes. Not one of ours, and not Tharkan or Grelny design either. Across the stars, similar scenes played out. In a command station of the Tharkan clans, a scale-covered captain leaned over her console, tail twitching as she magnified the image. In the League of Siral, a council of soft-skinned scholars debated what kind of drive could move a craft so massive without visible exhaust. Whispers began to move faster than light. Traders passed the rumor through tight beam relays. Patrol fleets shared coded alerts. A question took root in every strategist's mind. Who could build such a ship in secret, and why did it appear here, far from all centers of power? While the empires puzzled, the object continued its silent journey. It drifted past the pale light of a neutron star, and for an instant its outline was revealed. A long, dark spear, smooth on one side and angular on the other, as if made of different layers fused into a single frame. No insignia marked its hull. Aboard a cruiser near the border, Captain Sileth of the Valoran Navy gathered her officers. Holoscreens showed the image from multiple sensors. "It isn't broadcasting a code," she said, her voice calm but firm. "No language, no trade signal, no distress beacon. Just that pulse." Her navigator adjusted the feed. "The pulse has a pattern, Captain. 2 short bursts, then 1 long. It repeats every 90 seconds. Not a natural cycle," Sileth murmured. "And not an accident." She felt a faint thrill. Centuries of exploration had mapped nearly every corner of this spiral, yet something new had emerged from nowhere. Curiosity tugged at her as much as caution. Far away in a quiet office on Earth's moon, another figure watched the same feed. Admiral Kalen Ross sat alone before a wall of data streams. He was human, broad-shouldered, with silver hair cut close. To most of the galaxy, humans were a minor people, new to interstellar life, still clinging to small colonies near their home star. But Ross knew another truth, one known only to a circle of planners deep inside Earth's Defense Directorate. He leaned back, letting a faint smile cross his face. "So," he whispered, "they've noticed." For years, Earth had kept a project hidden even from friendly partners, the creation of a single ship able to stand against any fleet. It was meant as a shield, not a sword, but secrecy was vital. The vessel had been built in a shipyard buried within a gas giant's rings, its pieces ferried under false registry. Its code name was Aegis, and now, after decades of quiet labor, Aegis had finally left hiding. Its mission was simple: reach open space and test systems far from prying eyes. No one had expected the empires to react so quickly. Back in the Empty Reach, sensors caught new signs. Small defense craft from the Tharkan side were approaching the dark ship. They kept a respectful distance, scanning with cautious beams. The mysterious hull absorbed the scans, reflecting only faint echoes. Its surface shimmered briefly, then settled back into silence. One Tharkan pilot, a veteran named Rurik, opened a channel to his squadron leader. "Commander, I don't like this. It doesn't fly like a freighter, and it doesn't show fear either," the commander replied, voice low and tense. "Stay alert, but hold position. If it's a derelict, we claim salvage. If it's alive, we watch." As they circled, the ship changed speed, aligning itself with a distant star. Its motion was smooth, deliberate, as if it had chosen a course. No engines flared, yet velocity increased. Rurik felt a shiver. "That's no wreck. Back on Earth's moon, Admiral Ross spoke with a secure link to a control hub hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean. Engineers reported that Aegis was performing perfectly. Hull stress remained low, drive systems were stable, and the cloak, an advanced field that bent most scans, was holding, though it allowed just enough leakage to lure attention. Ross considered his next move. Should they call back the ship before a confrontation, or let the galaxy glimpse a fraction of what humanity had built? He thought of the many years Earth had stood quietly while older powers treated them as a minor voice. Perhaps it was time to remind them that quiet did not mean weak. In the Velaran ascendancy, the council gathered in their glass-walled chamber overlooking the capital's twin suns. Ministers argued whether the object posed a threat. Some wanted to send a full cruiser wing to seize it. Others warned that an unknown ship might carry traps or advanced weapons. Finally, the High Scholar spoke. "We must first know who claims it. Even the smallest species deserves a hearing." Her tone was measured, but her eyes held unease. On the Tharkon homeworld, warriors discussed whether to destroy the ship before it could release unknown energy. A lone strategist suggested patience. "Look at how calmly it moves," he said. "A predator that shows itself rarely attacks without warning." Meanwhile, deep inside the Aegis, lights glowed along quiet corridors. The ship's AI, Aurora, watched everything with calm precision. It sensed the surrounding craft, traced their vectors, and logged every frequency. To Aurora, the nearby fleets were bright motes against an endless field, potential friends or foes. It prepared responses but waited for instructions from its human crew. Within a central chamber, Commander Leah Morgan stood before a wide viewport. Stars stretched beyond, scattered like dust across black silk. She felt the old thrill of exploration, the same one that had pushed humanity from their home planet to the moon, then to Mars, and finally beyond the solar edge. Beside her, Chief Engineer Havel adjusted readings on a small panel. "Shield steady," Havel said. "Drive's at 30%. "They're scanning us hard, Commander." Morgan nodded. "That was expected. We hold course and let them wonder. What if they fire?" She allowed herself a small smile. "Then we remind them we built Aegis for a reason." Outside, the ship glided on, dark and sleek, a quiet challenge to the watching stars. None of the alien crews knew that inside this craft were people who had grown up under blue skies, who had built machines to cross oceans, and then the void. They had faced storms, deserts, and cold moons, and every time they had found a way to endure. As hours passed, messages crisscrossed between capitals. One by one, the galaxy's powers turned their eyes toward the empty reach. Spy networks, merchant guilds, even wandering explorers tried to gain information. Some called the object Phantom. Others named it Spear from Nowhere. But among a few scholars, a more cautious term spread: Human Shadow. Night fell over Earth's great cities while debates raged in orbiting stations. Should they reveal that Aegis belonged to them, or keep silent and watch? On the decks of the secret shipyard where Aegis had been born, workers gathered at view screens, pride shining in their eyes. For so long, their work had been hidden. Now the galaxy was looking. At the edge of the reach, new ships arrived. Scouts from the Soral League, with graceful hulls like folded wings. They kept distance, sending coded greetings. Aegis did not answer. It continued its slow approach to a point far from all inhabited systems, where its next trials would begin. By the time the first local dawn touched the icy moon of Velor Prime, one fact had become clear to every analyst. The unknown vessel was not drifting. It had purpose. It was following a map only its makers understood. In a single day, an empty part of space had become the center of all attention. Fleet commanders sharpened plans, scientists adjusted instruments, and rumor merchants prepared stories for markets across 1,000 worlds. Yet none truly knew what they faced. Hidden within the dark hull, humanity's greatest secret kept its steady path, bearing quiet confidence born of centuries of struggle. Whatever the empires decided, welcome or war, the Aegis would meet them with calm strength. And far away on Earth, Admiral Ross looked once more at the star chart. He traced the Aegis's line with a thoughtful hand. "Go on," he murmured to the silent ship. "Show them what we've learned." Beyond the rim, the dark Leviathan moved deeper into the starlit sea, leaving only ripples in the sensor nets and a single unspoken message. The strange ship drifted across the dark sea of stars, steady and calm. Alien fleet circled at a distance, their sensor arrays fixed on its black hull. The vessel showed no lights except for a faint blue glow that ran along its sides every few minutes like a quiet breath. To those who watched, it felt alive, as if it carried its own heartbeat. On the bridge of the Aegis, Commander Leah Morgan stood at the center platform. Her boots rested lightly on the metal deck, but her mind was alert. She studied the thin lines of data moving across the glass panels. Chief Engineer Havel sat at his station nearby, checking the ship's systems. Around them, other crew members worked in silence, hands gliding over controls. "Status of the cloak?" Morgan asked. Havel glanced at his readouts. "Holding strong, Commander. External sensors see only a blurred shape. They're guessing, not sure." Morgan gave a small nod. "Good. Keep it steady." Aegis was the first of its kind, a secret craft born from Earth's hidden effort to stand equal in a galaxy of giants. Its armor could drink in energy scans. Its drive left almost no wake. But it was more than technology. It was a promise. Humanity would no longer be brushed aside. Outside, a cluster of Tharkon frigates changed formation. Their lead ship, bristling with silver fins, sent a cautious signal, a polite request for identification. The message traveled as a soft pulse of light. On Aegis's display, the signal appeared as a gentle curve. Lieutenant Sana Patel read the translation. "They're asking who we are and if we need help." Morgan folded her arms. "Send no reply." We remained silent. Patel hesitated. "They may take silence as a threat." Morgan's voice stayed calm. "Or as wisdom. If they want to know more, they'll try another way." The Tharkon commander, watching from her own bridge, frowned at the lack of response. She leaned back in her chair, scales catching the light. The ship before her looked like a ghost born of metal. She sensed it was no derelict. Still, she ordered her crew to hold fire. "Patience," she said softly. "We learn first." Far away on Earth's moon, Admiral Ross monitored every development from his hidden operations room. Streams of numbers and images filled the walls. He sipped a cup of cooling tea while speaking to his staff through secure lines. "The Aegis is behaving as planned," one officer reported. "Its stealth field is giving them just enough to stay curious." Ross nodded. "Good, let curiosity grow. But keep defense protocols ready. We don't want accidents." He remembered the decades of planning that had built this moment. The galaxy believed humans to be a young, modest people, explorers of near space and miners of small moons. None guessed that Earth's scientists had pushed limits far beyond public projects. The Aegis was proof that clever minds and patient hands could match even ancient empires. Ross looked at the map where glowing dots marked the alien fleets. Around a single star, they formed rings of caution. He could almost hear their debates. Was the newcomer a weapon, a research station, a messenger from a hidden empire? The more they guessed, the more power Aegis held without firing a shot. On the ship itself, life moved carefully. Crew members spoke in low voices, aware that every move might be observed. Aurora, the ship's AI, watched over them from its network of soft lights and quiet panels. "Commander," Aurora's voice said, smooth and clear. "Incoming scans from 3 directions. They are probing deeper using mixed frequencies." Morgan raised an eyebrow. "Are we exposed?" "Not yet. Our shield matrix bends their readings, but they may notice inconsistencies if they compare results." Havel tapped a sequence on his screen. "We can adjust the field, make the reflections cleaner." Morgan considered. "Do it. We don't want them too nervous, just uncertain." A small ripple passed across the hull as systems shifted. Outside, alien crews frowned as their displays grew hazier. The ship seemed to fade further, becoming a blur against the starfield. At the same time, a new player entered the scene. From the far edge of the sector, 3 slender craft approached. Their hulls gleamed with silver-white curves, elegant as birds in flight. They belonged to the League of Siral, a thoughtful species who valued information above power. Their commander, Elder Navian, watched with interest. "A vessel without origin," Navian murmured, touching a finger to the screen. "Its silence is heavy. We must learn its heart." The Siral scout sent a gentle greeting in calm, melodic tones. No answer came. They tried again, offering trade data, universal codes, even old Earth broadcasts stored in their archives. Still, Aegis glided on. Navian felt a quiet thrill. Whoever built this ship understands patience. Inside Aegis, Morgan met with her senior officers in the strategy room. The walls showed floating maps of local space, dotted with icons for every known vessel. "They're growing bold," Patel said, pointing to new movements. "If they keep closing in, one may try to board." Havel's jaw tightened. "We could show them a little of what we carry. A field flare, maybe." Morgan shook her head. "Not yet. The less they know, the stronger we are." She turned to Aurora. "Options?" "We can increase distance," the AI replied, "or let them follow and gather their own risk data. Either path keeps us in control." Morgan studied the glowing chart. She felt the weight of every decision. The Aegis was more than metal. It carried the reputation of an entire world. If they acted rashly, the galaxy might see humans as reckless. If they appeared weak, old powers would tighten their hold. The balance was delicate. "We hold course," she said at last. "Slow, steady. They'll see we're not afraid." As hours turned to a full cycle, the standoff continued. Alien ships floated like cautious fish around a silent whale. Messages filled interstellar channels, rushing between capitals. In the glass towers of the Velaran Ascendancy, advisors argued. "We should intercept it," one said. "No," countered another. "A ship that size may hide weapons. Better we learn before we leap." The High Scholar listened quietly before speaking. "Do not rush. Even a shadow may be a friend." On the Tharkan world, warriors trained in massive arenas, but their generals sat in war rooms studying the unknown craft. Some wanted to fire a warning shot. Others insisted on a clear understanding first. "We may face a mind equal to ours," the one strategist warned. "Strike too soon and we might awaken claws we cannot see." The League of Siral sent a soft recommendation to both. Respect the silence. Their scholars believed the Aegis was not hostile, only careful. Back aboard the ship, Morgan walked the corridor that curved around the command deck. The floor hummed gently beneath her boots, a reminder of the quiet power inside the hull. Through a viewport, she saw stars stretched like tiny fires across the dark. Patel joined her. "It feels like we're holding our breath," she said. Morgan gave a faint smile. "We are. Sometimes the best move is to wait." "Do you think they'll understand?" "Maybe not now, but they will." Aurora's voice floated from a nearby panel. "Commander, a new signal is forming. Not a greeting, more like a coded discussion between fleets." Morgan returned to the bridge. On the display, red threads connected alien ships showing complex chatter. They were planning something. "What's their likely course?" she asked. Aurora's tone remained calm. "Models suggest a boarding attempt from one faction within the next standard hour." Havel straightened. "Do we prepare defenses?" Morgan thought for a moment. She could picture Earth far behind them, its blue oceans shining. She imagined Admiral Ross trusting her to guide this mission with care. "No weapons yet," she said. "We'll let them come close, then we'll decide." Beyond, the Tharkan fleet adjusted position. One frigate broke away, heading slowly toward the Aegis. Its hull lights flashed in steady rhythm, a signal of intent. Crews on other ships watched tensely, unsure if bravery or folly guided their comrade. Inside the approaching craft, Captain Rurik gripped his controls. He remembered stories of old explorers meeting new life. Sometimes peace began with risk. "Opening hailing line," he told his crew. "If they answer, fine. If not, we touch their hull gently." But as they neared, sensors on Rurik's console flickered. Space around the Aegis bent faintly like heat above a road. Instruments lost focus. The ship seemed both near and far at once. "Strange field," his science officer whispered. "I can't fix range." Rurik felt unease stir in his chest. Yet he pressed forward, unwilling to turn back. On Aegis, Aurora reported the approach. Lights along the bridge consoles brightened. "One ship closing fast," the AI said. "They attempt a soft contact." Morgan raised her hand. "Maintain shields." "No counter yet." The alien vessel slowed, preparing to extend a docking arm. For a heartbeat, everything was still. Then the Aegis released a quiet surge of blue light. It spread like ripples across water, touching the frigate gently. Rurik's systems blinked off for a moment. Lights, engines, even gravity, before returning with a hum. The message was clear: you may come no closer. Rurik swallowed, impressed and wary. "They warned us without harm," he said softly. "That takes skill." He pulled back his ship, signaling respect. All across the sector, watchers recorded the event. Fleets sent urgent updates to their leaders. One fact grew obvious: the dark vessel was not helpless. It chose every response carefully, showing strength wrapped in calm. On Earth, Admiral Ross received the report with a satisfied nod. He spoke to his staff. Good. They now understand we're not prey. Keep monitoring. If they stay polite, so do we. As the second day closed, the Aegis continued its measured path. Around it, alien craft hovered, their captains full of. In the center of the galaxy, where bright stars gathered like a river of light, lay the Grand Council Station. The structure was a massive wheel of silver and crystal, spinning slowly above a pale blue world. Here the rulers and scholars of many empires met to speak, trade, and keep uneasy peace. That morning the station buzzed with urgent messages. From the empty reach came news of the dark ship, its calm defiance, its quiet power, and the way it had turned back a boarding attempt without harm. Couriers hurried through shining halls and data screens glowed with reports. Everyone had an opinion and none agreed. Inside the great chamber of the Senate, voices rose like waves. Rows of seats curved upward around a central floor, where a clear table floated on soft light. Around it sat representatives of dozens of peoples, tall Velerans with shimmering feathers, thick-scaled Tharkon warriors, the elegant Siral with eyes like moonlight, and many more. At the far end, a small delegation from Earth watched in silence. The Valoran High Scholar Elithvar struck the table gently with a crystal rod. "Order," she said, her tone calm but firm. "We will hear all views about the unknown vessel." A Tharkon general stood, armor catching the chamber lights. "That craft is a threat," he declared. "It ignores our calls and plays with our ships. We should send a full fleet and take control before it chooses its own war." A Siral elder raised one slender hand. "Peace, General. The ship has shown restraint. Its touch disabled a frigate, yes, but without damage or loss. That is not the way of an enemy." Others murmured agreement. Some argued that silence was a sign of pride, perhaps even of diplomacy. A few suggested the ship might be an ancient relic, guided by forgotten programming, but most suspected living minds behind it, clever and deliberate. At the back, Earth's envoy, Ambassador Lian Chen, listened carefully. She kept her face calm, though her heart beat fast. She knew the truth. The Aegis was no ghost from a lost empire. It was human work, a shield meant to protect her world. But revealing that fact too soon could spark panic or envy. Elithvar turned her gaze to Chen. "Ambassador, you have been quiet. Does Earth know anything of this?" Chen met the scholar's eyes. "Our sensors confirm only what you have shared," she said evenly. "A large craft, no clear signal, no harm intended so far. We hope for dialogue, as we all do." Her words were careful, balanced between honesty and secrecy. A few delegates exchanged knowing glances. They guessed Earth might hold more than it said, but none could prove it. While the Senate debated, the Aegis moved through lonely space. Its crew kept steady watch as alien ships held respectful distance. Inside the bridge, Commander Leah Morgan studied a star chart. "They're gathering at the council station," she said to Aurora. "How long before they send an envoy here?" "Models suggest within 2 standard days," the AI replied, voice gentle. "They will seek answers directly." Havel leaned against his console. "Think they'll guess we're from Earth?" Morgan gave a small shrug. "Some already suspect. But guessing is not proof." Patel, the communications officer, smiled faintly. "Maybe we should just tell them. Show them who we are." Morgan shook her head. "Not yet. First, we must read their intent." Beyond the bridge windows, the galaxy stretched in soft colors. Violet dust clouds, white suns, and tiny sparks of far worlds. For a moment, Morgan felt both proud and humble. Humanity's craft now sailed among powers that had ruled the stars for ages, yet the ship carried calm strength as if it belonged. On Grand Council Station, smaller rooms filled with private talks. Valoran advisors studied recordings of the Aegis's light pulse, trying to decode its rhythm. Tharkon captains whispered about hidden weapons and strange shields. The Siral scholars, patient and kind, spoke of balance. Elder Navian told the group, "A mind that's strong may seek respect before friendship. We should send greetings again, with clear offer of safe meeting." General Kor of the Tharkon shook his head. "Too soft. That ship may be testing us. Next it may cut through our fleets." Elithvar lifted her wings slightly. "Fear clouds judgment, General. We must see beyond it." Even as they spoke, messages arrived from border colonies. Farmers and miners had begun hearing rumors. A shadow ship from nowhere, too big for comfort. Some feared an invasion. Others dreamed of trade with a new power. Meanwhile, Admiral Ross remained deep in his lunar command post. Reports from Morgan scrolled across his desk. He studied them, noting every line. "They're holding position," he told his aides. "Good. They understand we're testing them as much as they test us." One aide asked, "Will you reveal our ownership if they ask directly?" Ross shook his head slowly. "Not until we know who wants peace and who wants advantage." He thought of Earth itself, small among the stars yet strong in spirit. The Aegis was built not for pride, but to make sure no empire could push humans aside. If the galaxy respected them, peace might last longer. Later that day, the Senate gathered for a formal vote on the next step. The hall quieted as Elithvar spoke. "We face something new. It is wise, careful, and powerful. We must choose force, silence, or diplomacy." Delegates stood one by one. Some wanted to capture the ship, fearing danger. Some wanted to ignore it, hoping it would pass. But most favored sending an envoy, a team with no weapons, to ask its purpose. The vote passed. A single sleek courier would fly to the Aegis with greetings from all. News of the decision spread quickly. On the station's outer decks, workers paused to watch ships preparing. Traders leaned on railings, wondering what would happen. Children pointed at screens showing a dark spear gliding through stars. Back on the Aegis, Morgan received a signal through a side channel. Aurora decoded it. "A neutral craft is leaving Grand Council Station," the AI said. "Course set for our position. They request a meeting." Havel raised an eyebrow. "So it begins." Morgan looked around at her team. "We'll meet them. Keep shields up, but weapons asleep. Let's show them calm," Patel grinned. About time someone spoke to us. The crew felt a quiet excitement. They were not soldiers waiting for battle. They were explorers standing at the door of history. As the envoy ship crossed light years, the fleets around the Aegis kept careful distance. They dared not move first, waiting to see how the meeting would go. Inside the courier, Elder Navian prepared words of welcome. He studied old texts on diplomacy, even quotes from Earth's first space treaties. He hoped the unknown crew valued reason as much as power. When the courier entered range, Aegis scanned it gently. Morgan watched readings on the bridge. "Small, no weapons," Patel said. "Good," Morgan answered. "Aurora, open a clear channel." A soft light filled the room as the connection formed. Navian's calm face appeared, framed by the silver walls of his craft. "Greetings," he said in the common tongue. "I am Elder Navian of the League of Seral, sent by the Grand Council. We come in peace to learn your name and purpose." Morgan stood tall, hands folded behind her back. For a heartbeat, she said nothing, letting silence set the tone. Then she spoke, voice even. "I am Commander Leah Morgan, captain of the starship Aegis." Navian's eyes widened slightly. "So you have a name and a captain. Are you part of a known power?" Morgan gave a faint smile. "We come from a world that seeks only fair standing." "We mean no harm," Navian inclined his head. "May we speak further, share knowledge?" "Yes," Morgan replied. "We welcome respectful talk." The first real dialogue had begun. Across the Senate chamber, news of the contact flashed on a screen. Delegates leaned forward, breath caught. Even the stern Tharkon general looked relieved. Elithvar addressed them. "Now we see, wisdom meets wisdom." Still, under the calm, unease stirred. If Earth could build such a ship, what else might it hide? Some feared balance tipping toward a new force. As the meeting between Morgan and Navian continued, they exchanged small pieces of history. Morgan spoke of humanity's wish for equal voice among the stars, of their hope to protect without conquering. Navian spoke of the Council's long dream of harmony. Aurora quietly stored every word, analyzing tone and meaning. It sensed both caution and hope. After an hour, Navian smiled gently. "I believe we can find understanding. I will speak well of you to the Senate." Morgan nodded, "and we will continue to act with care." When the envoy departed, the Aegis watched it glide away like a silver leaf. For the first time since leaving hiding, the ship felt less alone. That night, as stars turned slowly outside, Morgan stood by the observation window. She thought of Earth, oceans, forests, the laughter of children, and of how far they had come. The Aegis floated in silence, a quiet guardian of her people's dignity. In the council's halls, debate would go on. Some would push for trust, others for control. But one fact was firm. Humanity's shadow had stepped into the light, and its calm strength sent tremors through all who ruled the stars. The galaxy would watch every move now. and somewhere deep inside the Aegis its engines hummed, steady as a heartbeat ready for whatever came next. The Aegis floated alone in the quiet dark. Around it, a ring of alien ships gleamed faintly in starlight, keeping careful distance. Days had passed since Commander Leah Morgan spoke with Elder Navian. The meeting had opened a door, but not all voices in the galaxy were calm. Some feared what the Aegis might hide. Others hungered to take its secrets. On the bridge, Morgan watched status lights glow steady green. Chief Engineer Havel checked a line of figures while Patel listened for signals from the fleets. Aurora, the ship's AI, spoke softly from hidden speakers. Commander, movement detected. Multiple ships forming a wedge pattern. Morgan stepped closer to the main display. Icons shifted, showing several Tharkon vessels leaving their place in the ring. Course? She asked. Direct approach, Aurora replied. Power levels rising. They are arming, but not firing. Patel frowned. Looks like they mean to test us. Morgan felt a quiet weight settle on her shoulders. Since leaving Earth's hidden dock, the Aegis had walked a thin line, showing strength without threatening. Now others were forcing her to prove that balance. Signal all stations, she ordered. Hold ready, no weapons yet. Havel's hands paused over his console. If they keep coming, then we answer, Morgan said. Her voice was steady, though her pulse quickened. Far away, Admiral Ross received the same report inside his lunar command room. He stood at a wide window, Earth glowing below. His staff read updates aloud. The Tharkon wedge, their growing energy, the tension around the Aegis. Ross spoke slowly. They're trying to see if we'll break. We won't, he sent a calm message to Morgan. Stay steady. Protect the crew, but no first strike. Show them who we are. On the Grand Council station, delegates gathered to watch the drama unfold. Holoscreens floated above the chamber showing the Aegis surrounded by warships. Elith Var spread her wings and looked around at the worried faces. The Tharkon captains act without full leave, she said. If they push too far, they may light a fire none can stop. Navian's calm eyes turned toward the image. The human ship has shown restraint, he said. I believe they will keep peace if allowed. General Kor of the Tharkan clan rumbled in reply. Or they hide claws. We will learn soon. Back in the Reach, the Tharkon wedge closed distance. Their lead cruiser broadcast a sharp signal. Unidentified vessel, the message said. Yield control for inspection. You have 1 cycle to comply. On the Aegis bridge, Patel translated the words, her voice tense. Morgan stood still, watching the neat line of approaching icons. No reply, she said quietly. Let them speak again, seconds stretched. The alien ships advanced another mark. The message repeated, firmer this time. Havel shook his head. They're pushing, Morgan exhaled slowly. Prepare field alpha. Do not arm main cannon. Just stand ready, Aurora confirmed with calm tones. The alien cruisers finally lit their drives to full, aiming straight for the Aegis. Their boarding pods unfolded like dark petals, ready to launch. All across the watching fleets, captains leaned forward, waiting to see what the humans would do. Morgan raised a hand. Activate defensive lattice. A deep hum rolled through the ship. Along its hull, faint blue lines appeared, curving into shapes like ripples on still water. The boarding pods froze mid-flight as though caught in unseen hands. Weapons on the cruisers flickered and shut down. Gasps filled alien bridges. The Tharkon pilots stared at dead consoles, shocked. They had never seen a shield that could stop a craft without tearing it apart. On the Aegis, Havel grinned despite tension. Perfect catch. Morgan kept her eyes on the screen. Open channel. Patel tapped a key. Line is clear. Morgan's voice went out, calm and even. This is Commander Leah Morgan of the starship Aegis. We mean no harm, but we will not be boarded. Stand down or you risk your cruise. For a moment, only static answered. Then the Tharkon leader's voice, rough but steady, filled the bridge. Your strength is clear. We sought to measure you. We will hold. The wedge ships pulled back, rejoining the wider ring. In the Senate Hall, cheers and sighs mixed as the report arrived. Even the Tharkon general nodded with respect. They warned without wound, Navian said. That is the mark of discipline. Elith Var looked thoughtful. A people who master such control may bring balance or tilt it. Ambassador Chen allowed herself a tiny breath of relief. The secret of Aegis had stayed safe, yet the galaxy now knew its builders were not to be mocked. After the standoff, quiet returned to the Aegis. Crew members moved carefully, still aware of the danger outside. Morgan gathered her senior staff in the strategy room. "We passed the first real trial," she said. "But more will come. We have shown strength. Now we must show wisdom." Patel tilted her head. "You think they'll try again?" "Not the same way," Morgan answered. "But curiosity never sleeps." Havel scratched his chin. "Maybe we should reveal a little of our origin. It could calm them," Morgan considered. "Perhaps. But Earth must choose that moment, not us alone." Elsewhere on the ship, younger crew members gathered by a viewport, looking at the distant fleets. Ensign Raya spoke softly. "They look smaller now," she said. "Because we know what we can do," her friend replied. They stood together, proud yet aware of the weight they carried. The Aegis was not just their ship. It was the voice of their whole species. Later, Morgan returned to the bridge. Aurora spoke as she entered. "Commander, data shows many ships lowering weapons. Some still watch with care, but tension decreases." Morgan nodded. "Keep monitoring." "We stay calm." She gazed out at the starlit scene. The Aegis, dark and quiet, seemed part of the night itself. But inside, every system hummed with hidden strength, ready if peace broke. On Grand Council Station, discussions turned from fear to respect. Delegates now spoke of treaties and invitations. A few proposed inviting the Aegis to a future summit, though others hesitated, not ready to welcome a force they could not match. Navian addressed them all. "Power alone does not make an enemy or friend. The hand that holds it decides." Even General Kor softened his tone. "They defended, not destroyed. That shows honor." Still unease lingered. If humanity could build one Aegis, how many more waited unseen? The thought kept some awake through the station's night. Admiral Ross stood by his desk reading Morgan's clear report of the event. He let out a slow breath, pride mixing with caution. "Good work," he sent back. "You kept calm under fire. Now keep listening." He walked to the wide window overlooking Earth. The planet's oceans and clouds glowed under sunlight. Ross knew the road ahead remained long. The Aegis had stepped onto a stage where old powers played for high stakes. Humans would need patience and clear minds. As another cycle passed, the stars around the reach seemed to shine brighter. Ships from many species now held respectful distance, their captains exchanging quiet messages. The Aegis had changed the story. No longer a shadow to fear, but a force to weigh carefully. In her cabin, Morgan sat by a small window. She looked out, thinking of the years behind this moment. Hidden labs, secret welders, silent nights spent planning. Every piece of the Aegis was built with hope that humanity could walk among the stars without bowing or ruling. She whispered to herself. One test passed, many more ahead. Outside, the ship rested in dark space, steady as a mountain against the sky. Within its walls, people from a blue world prepared for whatever might come next, holding fast to the quiet promise of their mission. The galaxy, once sure of its order, now faced a new truth. Somewhere beyond the rim, humans had learned to build wonders, and they carried those wonders with calm hands. The tremor born in the Senate had grown into respect, even awe. And in the silent heart of the Aegis, engines pulsed softly, ready for dawn. The Aegis drifted quietly at the edge of the empty reach, its black hull steady against a field of stars. Days had passed since the Tharkon ships had tested it and failed. Now the galaxy watched in respectful silence, waiting to see what the humans would do next. Inside the ship, Commander Leah Morgan stood at the bridge viewport. Beyond the glass, alien fleets floated like jewels, their lights faint against the dark. Her crew worked softly behind her. Havel at the engineering console, Patel at communications, Ensign Raya near navigation. The ship's AI, Aurora, glowed faintly along the walls. "Status report," Morgan said. Aurora's calm voice filled the bridge. "All systems stable. External scans show no hostile buildup. Several ships are sending polite signals requesting dialogue." Patel looked up from her station. "More greetings than yesterday. Some even include trade offers." Havel smiled faintly. "Seems they're starting to see us as neighbors, not ghosts." Morgan nodded but kept her gaze on the stars. "Respect is a good start, but balance must follow. If we seem too open, they may compete for our secrets. If we seem too closed, they may fear us." Far away, Admiral Ross read a stream of reports in his lunar command post. Around him, quiet officers worked at glowing consoles. He paused over one note from the Grand Council station. "Delegates propose formal meeting with Aegis crew." Ross leaned back, thinking. Earth had stayed silent through every storm so far, but the time to speak was near. He sent a message to Morgan. "Begin talks." Offer calm hand but promise nothing we cannot keep. You are to protect our dignity and safety." He stared for a long moment at Earth hanging outside the window. Blue, white, and green. All of humanity's hopes rested on a ship far beyond the rim. On the station itself, the Senate gathered in its shining hall. Delegates stood beneath a dome of crystal, where light from nearby suns cast rainbows across polished floors. They waited as Elder Navian rose to speak. "Friends," Navian said, voice steady, "we have all seen the human craft. It met force with restraint and silence with patience. Shall we welcome them to this table?" The Valoran scholar Elith Var lifted her feathers thoughtfully. "They have shown skill but also caution. If they come here, they must come as equals, not masters." General Kor, the Tharkon commander, folded his arms. "They earned my respect when they spared our crews. I say we give them a seat and see their face." A vote followed. Lights flashed along the chamber's rim. Green for yes, red for no. Green won by a wide margin. An invitation was prepared for delivery. A silver courier ship left the station soon after, carrying a message of welcome and careful terms. Its hull shimmered in the dim light as it slipped into the Reach. Inside, Navian sat at the helm, ready to meet the Aegis again. When the courier arrived, Patel caught its signal at once. "Incoming message," she said. "They request permission to board, unarmed, to hold talks." Morgan looked to Havel, then to Aurora. "Opinions?" Havel shrugged lightly. "They've shown respect. Meeting here lets us control the ground." Aurora's soft lights pulsed. "Risk level minimal if we limit access." Morgan straightened. "Bring them aboard." Docking Bay 1. The docking bay opened its great doors to space. The courier glided inside, settling gently on the deck. A group of Aegis crew stood ready in clean uniforms. Morgan stepped forward as the hatch opened and Elder Navian appeared, his silver robes catching the bay lights. "Commander Morgan," Navian said with a graceful nod. "The Council thanks you for your steady hand." Morgan returned the nod. "Welcome aboard the Aegis. We hope this meeting will serve us all." She led Navian and 2 aides through bright corridors toward a conference room. Havel and Patel walked beside her, alert but calm. Inside the room, a wide window showed the stars beyond. A round table waited with simple chairs. Morgan gestured for her guests to sit. They spoke for hours. Navian explained the Council's purpose: to keep peace among the stars, to help new voices find a fair place. Morgan described humanity's wish to explore without losing freedom, to defend without ruling. She chose her words carefully, sharing just enough history. The first steps on the moon, the courage of early explorers, the patient work behind the Aegis. "We built this ship to stand equal," she said. "We seek respect, not power over others." Navian listened closely, his calm eyes thoughtful. "That balance is rare," he said. "Many rise to strength and forget humility." Havel added softly, "Our strength comes from learning to survive storms. We want to walk among the stars as partners." Aurora spoke once, its voice clear and even. "I am the ship's guardian and guide. My makers taught me to protect, not to conquer." The Soral elder smiled faintly. "Even your machine speaks with care. That gives hope." Elsewhere on the station, delegates followed updates from the envoy. Some worried the humans might hide hidden fleets or silent weapons. Others felt relief that a steady voice stood behind the Aegis. Elith Var spoke to a small circle. "If humans truly value balance, they may remind us of our first hopes for the stars." General Kor, leaning on his spear-like staff, grunted in agreement. "I still want to see their worlds. But I admit they have earned a place to speak." As the meeting aboard the Aegis drew to a close, Morgan offered a simple gesture. She pressed a small control, and a panel near the window opened to reveal a live image of Earth taken by a distant probe. Blue oceans and white clouds turned slowly. "This is home," she said. "Small but precious. Every choice we make is to keep it safe." Navian's gaze softened. "A lovely world. We will remember this view when we speak for you." Before leaving, Navian placed a crystal token on the table, engraved with the Council's star seal. "A sign of trust," he said. "May this ship carry it in peace." Morgan accepted it with quiet pride. After the envoy departed, the Aegis resumed its patient watch. On alien bridges, officers noted a change in atmosphere. Fewer weapons armed, more channels open for peaceful talk. The once ominous ring of ships now looked like an audience waiting for a performance of cooperation. Admiral Ross received Morgan's report later that cycle. He read slowly, then smiled. "Well done," he said to his aides. "They see our hand is steady. The galaxy will think twice before dismissing Earth again." Night settled across the ship. Crew members gathered in the mess hall, voices low but cheerful. They spoke of home, of the stars beyond, and of the strange honor of carrying their people's hope. Ensign Raya set a small model of Earth on the table, a reminder of why they sailed. Morgan joined them for a short time, sharing a quiet laugh, then returned to the bridge. She stood alone for a moment, looking at the fleets that had once watched with suspicion. Now their lights blinked in steady patterns, patient rather than tense. Aurora's voice drifted gently through the bridge. "Commander, probability of immediate threat has fallen below 3%. Morgan smiled. "That's good to hear. Would you like to set course for home?" the AI asked. Morgan thought, then shook her head. "Not yet. Let's stay a while. We've opened a door. We should walk through carefully." She settled into the captain's chair, hands resting on the armrests, eyes on the stars. On the Grand Council station, a final vote passed quietly through the chamber. The Aegis was recognized as the representative craft of a new voice among the stars, the people of Earth. They were offered a place at future gatherings, a seat carved not from pity but from respect. Elith Var spoke after the vote. Today balance shifted, not toward war but toward a larger circle of understanding. Navian smiled, his mission complete. General Kor gave a firm nod, still cautious but willing to try. As the Aegis kept silent watch, its crew felt the change around them. Fear had given way to curiosity, and curiosity to measured trust. The ship had become more than steel and circuits. It was a bridge between worlds. Morgan gazed once more at the silver token on her desk. She thought of the builders who had kept their work secret, of the voices who believed in calm strength. She felt gratitude, and a quiet promise formed in her heart. Humanity would walk this new path with care. Outside, stars burned clear, ancient and bright. The galaxy was wide, full of unknowns, but no longer closed. A new balance had begun. And in the steady heart of the Aegis, engines hummed a soft rhythm, holding steady as humanity's first great envoy to the stars.